Welcome to Grief is the New Normal. I'm Dr. Heather Taylor, a licensed psychologist and grief specialist, here to help change the conversation about grief and build community and connection while we all adjust to this new normal we are living in. This podcast is for you if you are grieving or if you are supporting someone in a season of grief. I'm glad you're here. Hey friends, welcome back to Grief is the New Normal. I'm Dr. Heather Taylor, and today's episode is for the support crew. If someone you care about is grieving and you've been feeling helpless, awkward, or unsure how to support them without saying the wrong thing, this one's for you. Because here's the truth. Most people want to help, but they don't know how. And when grief gets overwhelming or messy or goes on longer than people expect, that's when supporters tend to disappear or burn out. So today we're breaking it down. We're talking about how to support someone grieving in a sustainable way, why one-size-fits-all support doesn't work, the 3 types of support: doers, listeners, and respite friends, and how to keep showing up long after the casseroles are gone. So let's get into it. Let's just say it. Most support is well-intentioned, but vague as hell. We say things like, I'm here if you need me, let me know how I can help, thinking of you. And while that can sound supportive on the surface, for someone who's grieving, it puts the emotional labor back on them. They have to figure out what they need. They have to decide if they're allowed to ask. They have to work through their fears of being a burden, too much, all of that to even ask in the first place. They have to muster the energy to call or text, and they risk being met with silence or discomfort. So if you really want to help, you've got to get specific. And that's where the circles of support can come in. So let's talk about what actually helps. There are 3 main roles that I teach when it comes to showing up for someone who's grieving. First off, we've got the doer. This is the person who says, I'm bringing dinner Thursday, text me your dietary restrictions. They run errands, they drop off groceries, they help with childcare, they handle logistics, they volunteer their partners to come do X, Y, and Z around the house. They are action-oriented and often help without needing a deep emotional conversation. And grievers need that. We need a variety in our people, right? Role number 2, the listener. This is the person who can sit with that messy truth, no fixing, no silver linings, just presence. They say things like, I don't know what to say, but I'm here. Tell me about them if you want to. That sounds unbelievably hard. Do you want to talk about it? These folks are our emotional anchors. They make space. They help us feel seen, but not everyone has that settledness, that groundedness within them to be that listener friend. And that's okay. Again, there's a role for you. There's a role for everyone. Grief is a universal experience. We just have to find the right fit. We just have to find the right fit for how we can show up for our grieving people. And then number 3, the respite friend. This is the one who helps you breathe again. They provide distraction, laughter, escape without ignoring your grief. They might say things like, want to go for a walk and not talk about any of it? Or can I send you memes or dumb TikToks? Or you don't have to be okay with me. You just have to be real. They are the kind of support that gives our nervous systems a break. And that's really important, really vital when grief feels all consuming. And the key thing to remember here is you do not have to be all 3 of these roles. Just be clear about the role you can play. What do you have capacity for? I talk about this all the time with clients, with friends, with family, with students. These are frequent flyer topics. So-and-so lost their mom. How do I show up for them? So-and-so just had a miscarriage. How do I show up for them? There's not one right choice here. The best choice is the choice to just keep showing up. It can be as simple as putting a reminder in your phone calendar for the death anniversary or the person's birthday with their name so that you know on that day to send a text to your person to invite them to do something. If you're in that respite type role or the listener role, they're going to be feeling big things that week, that day. So having that in your calendar is helping set up future you to be a successful friend in supporting them in their grief. You don't need to change the frequency that you communicated with them. If you guys text 3 to 5 times a week, keep texting 3 to 5 times a week, even if they're not responding. They're not intentionally trying to ghost you. They're just grieving, and maybe they don't have the same capacity to respond to the 20 memes or reels you send on Instagram a day, but it helps knowing that someone's still reaching out. Someone is still extending a hand. Guilty confession. I've been listening to the Akatar books, the Court of Thorn and Roses books, and I'm on Nesta's story right now, the 5th one. And oh my gosh, is this a story about grief? So powerful. And Nesta's pain is really all consuming. And one of the things the characters remind her counterpart is keep extending the hand. Just keep extending the hand. And eventually she might grab it back. And so I think that's an important reminder for grievers is like, we might be so consumed by our grief that we can't see the hand for what it is. So keep offering it anyways. Like, you were in our lives for a reason. You were important. And because we are in a place of pain, we might not be able to grab that hand or reach back or respond in the way that we used to, but we still want our people to think about us, to offer those opportunities, even if we can't show up in the same way that we used to. So let's talk about support long-term, right? Because here's the thing, support doesn't end after the funeral or the first month or even the first year. We are not just all hunky-dory after the first year. Sometimes the second year is actually worse because the reality of the loss is really setting in. So we still need our people to show up and have compassion and capacity to understand that we're grieving still. So if you're really about it, you've got to keep showing up, keep checking in, and understand that the grief is still there, even when the world is moving forward. So here's some ways to be solid support over time. Number 1, I already mentioned this, but I'm going to say it again. Mark the calendar for birthdays, anniversaries, and hard milestones. It is so helpful when someone just sends a message. We don't necessarily want to blast on socials that we're grieving, but to have someone remember and be so intentional by putting it in their calendar, like that, it's so good. It's such a gift to get those messages from people who are remembering your person and remembering that you're in a hard space that week or that month or that day. Number 2, send a just thinking of you text when it's quiet. If you haven't heard from them, maybe shoot that, hey, I'm just thinking of you. I'm going to go grab coffee. I'm picking you one up and I'm going to drop it off. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a forced conversation, but just let them know you're thinking of them and you're going to drop something off or send them a Starbucks card over text or something like that. Number 3, normalize talking about the person they lost. Say their name. Ask if you forgot, or maybe it was a miscarriage. Did baby have a name? Talk to me about baby, what your dreams were, what your hopes were. How are you doing today in this moment? How can I show up? It doesn't have to be a big grand gesture. Just when we hear someone say their name, again, it lets us know we're not the only one remembering them, that they existed, that they mattered. Number 4, respect their boundaries, but don't disappear. So again, I think I talked about this in an earlier episode this year. I'm not ghosting you, I'm grieving. We might not respond in the same way, frequency, intensity that we used to. And maybe we need a boundary around social events. We're not going to them in person as much, or we're just stepping back a bit to preserve and protect and figure out how to operate in this new normal. But that doesn't mean we don't want to reintegrate at some point. So don't disappear. Still send out those reminders. And 5, keep offering, not just once, but again and again. So even if we don't respond to the first text, the 5th text, the 15th text, still keep trying. Grief impacts each of us so differently. We are not aware of the capacity we're going to have. There is going to be nuance within it, whether that's shifting some roles in our family system where maybe we're now solo parenting. Maybe we are a caregiver for our parent, our remaining parent. It could be a number of things that are impacting the roles and the capacity, and that can take some time to adjust to. Grief changes shape, but it doesn't disappear. And your presence, your continued presence, can be the difference between someone feeling isolated and someone feeling held and seen and supported as they're navigating this new existence. So let's name some of the stuff that doesn't help, because I know some of y'all are hearing this and thinking, oh crap, I've done that. And it's okay. Let's learn together. We can always go back and say, I'm sorry I said that. That was so insensitive. I'm learning to be more grief informed. I think about the number of conversations I've had with the grievers where it's like, on the other side of loss, they're like, oh my gosh, what? I can't believe I used to say that to people. That is like the worst thing someone has said to me. And I know that I've said that to others. And so it's working to repair and heal and learn how to be grief informed in today's society, I think is really important. So it's okay. Let's learn together. Let's lean into this grief informed way of existing together. So we want to avoid toxic positivity, statements like everything happens for a reason. Well, not everything happens for a reason. Some things just really suck and are really hard, and it's unfortunate it happened. It's not fair that it happened. So when someone says everything happens for a reason, it's like, sometimes they didn't. And that's just you using a phrase because it needs to have happened for a reason. Otherwise, what? Was it a waste? Does it nullify something? Does it minimize something? Like, some things just happen. 2, comparative grief. Well, saying stuff like, well, when my aunt died, it's turning the grief around and making it about you rather than letting their grief take center stage and take up space. Number 3, avoid vanishing just because you're uncomfortable. Like, grief is uncomfortable. Death is uncomfortable. We live in such a stigmatized society. We don't talk about death. We don't talk about grief. We can't talk about grief because we don't talk about death. And everyone is worried about their own mortality and the mortality of those of others. And I get it. It's scary to think about, but it's also something we all live with every day. And if we disappear, if we take steps back and not lean in and avoid the loss, like, how is that changing anything? How is that showing our people that they matter? And then last one-time support with no follow-up. Try to avoid that. We all can have good intentions. Try to avoid the one-time support with no follow-up. Follow up, send continued messages or memes, show up and just leave groceries on the porch. Keep trying, because we will come out of the fog at some point. Grief doesn't go away, it just gets different. And maybe we're in a space right now where the grief is just all consuming and everything is in a fog and we can't see our way through. That doesn't mean we won't come out of it at some point. So try to keep following up. And if you've done any of these things, the toxic positivity, the comparative grief, the vanishing, the one-time support, apologize, repair, come back differently. You don't have to be perfect. No one is expecting you to be perfect. You just have to care enough to stay in it. So let's wrap this up with some real talk. Grievers, we don't need you to fix anything. They need you to stay. Grief isn't something to fix or rescue. We just need people to stay in it with us. Even if you say nothing, even if you're just a presence, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just being present, because there's no quote unquote right way to show up, but disappearing isn't it? So whether you're a doer, a listener, or a respite friend, your presence matters. And support is not a one-time offer. It's a long game. Like, grief is not a sprint. It is a marathon. It is the rest of your life learning how to adjust to this person not physically being here. And it's hard and overwhelming and complicated and confusing and nuanced. We need our people to navigate that with us, to show up in that space with us. So here's your invitation. Text your grieving friend. Ask them, would it be helpful if I checked in again next week? And be honest about what kind of support you can offer. That clarity is a gift. Don't commit to something that you can't follow through on. Offer what you can. And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be committing to bringing dinner every Tuesday for the next 6 months. It can be small things, and that is enough. So if this episode resonated, please share it with the helpers in your life. We all need a reminder that showing up isn't about having the perfect words. It's about having the courage to stay close. So remember to be kind to yourselves today. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. That's it for today's episode of Grief is the New Normal. If this conversation resonated with you or you think it might benefit someone else, please share it. Sharing can open doors to healing, understanding, and normalizing these griefy conversations. If you're craving deeper insights or ongoing support, consider signing up for the Grief Gap newsletter. It's packed with resources, tips, and personal stories to help you navigate your grief journey. Visit the website www.griefisthenewnormal.com to subscribe. For those who prefer a more personal touch to their healing process, check out my grief journal, Authentically Unapologetic. It's designed to help you explore your grief on your own terms with prompts and exercises that encourage reflection and growth. I'm Dr. Heather Taylor, and I look forward to our next meaningful conversation. Our soothing tunes are provided by the Datacorns. If you're interested in sharing your story, collaborating, or learning more, please email me at hello@griefisthenewnormal.com. You can also stream the episodes on YouTube for more engaging content. Until next time, keep exploring your grief with intention and support, remembering you don't have to do this alone.